Right, so how do we feel about that round of 16 draw? Draws us against Sparta Prague. We can go through some of the fixtures, we can go through some of the key players, key goal scorers, all those kind of things, just to give you a little brief on what we can expect over the next couple of weeks. I think it's worth saying at this point, it's a pretty good draw. Like, Sporting versus Atalanta is good. Roma-Brighton is good. Milan, the other Prague team, which is Slavia, is a good draw. And West Ham away to Freiburg, that's great. Obviously, we've got ours, Benfica Rangers, that's exciting. A team that already beat Sparta Prague this season. Marseille, Villarreal, and Karabag Leverkusen. You'd expect Leverkusen to make it through that. They are I'd say they're, if not the favourites, just with Liverpool, then they're definitely up there this season. It's an exciting draw, is the point that I'm making. And I know there's something good about being in the Europa League this season. There is also something not so great about being in the Europa League this season, and that is when you're drawn against teams who are top of their league. We could have had, I don't think there's easier draws in the Europa League, but there are definitely simpler ones than this. They're top of the league by 4 points against the other Prague side, so I don't feel like there's it's not like there's a massive gap there, but there's a big gap to, like Victoria Plzeň and Slovaco. And their form table indicates that things have been pretty good, apart from in the Europa League, where they've also obviously lost to Betis this season and also to Rangers in the group. They made it through in second place, I think on 10 points. Was it 10 or 11 points? Rather than top in the group. And they did just about scrape through. It wasn't a great time for them. It also wasn't the worst, but they got through, and they obviously got through against Galatasaray, in which they played a 4-3-3, very simply. A 3-4-3, three at the back, quite a congested midfield, and then they've got a couple of guys up front who are a little bit more dynamic. We'll talk about them later. These are their average positions from both of those games. You can clearly see that back three, two deeper guys, one guy in the middle. It definitely gives them a defensive solidity against the bigger sides, but it's also how they play against the smaller sides or the less intimidating sides as well. So it's clearly a system that they've adopted. It's not like they're 100% similar to what Xabi Alonso is doing, but you have got a little fullback out there on the wing, at least what I would class as fullback if he's number two. And you have got this kind of congested midfield area, that back three there. There's a couple of similarities, and maybe there's a Wirtz type figure in midfield playing off a couple of guys up here. So it's not like this guy is revolutionising the game, but there is a trend, and, at least they're trying to play on trend there. Let's talk about the time that Liverpool are going to play them, and for both teams. We'll first go to them, right? They have the derby at the top of the table, how many days? 4 days before us, and then they play us either at 5 o'clock or 8 o'clock. I don't know yet. It's not been confirmed yet. Then they play Victoria Plzeň, who are the third place team in the league. So that's not an easy game either. Although, Victoria probably comfortably into the Champions League and Europa League spots by there. Obviously they don't have four teams in the Champions League. And then they play us again. So it's a pretty congested time for them. But it's also a super congested time for us. We'll have been through Forest, and then we'll have gone to, I think, Southampton in the FA Cup. Then there is this game. Yeah, that's right. And then we play Man City. Then we play them again. So there's about 4 days between those games. There's 3 days and then 4 days. And then another 3 days until we play Everton. So that's a really difficult run for us. Like, this is probably a big congestion time of the season. We don't really know who we're going to get back. We're probably going to go through all of those games without Alisson. There's going to be a couple of big guys, hopefully, coming back in that time. We don't know this though yet, and so it's quite an unsure period for us. After this weekend, I think we'll probably have a better idea of how the team's feeling about themselves. Beating Luton in the second half is obviously a fairly big achievement considering the way that they were playing, but it's not like it's not league topping form throughout the 90 minutes. Us need to come back against a side that we should have beaten anyway. And that's kind of it here, is like Sparta Prague are definitely the underdog in this game, but they've got a great way of playing the overdog in Galatasaray. Though I will say this, and I haven't screenshot it here, Galatasaray were very much the favourites in this game, because if you look at that Galatasaray team, they're a good team. They really love playing entertaining football. And they've got, some big names in there. That's a massive Turkish side, if not the biggest Turkish side, right? They have a monopoly on that league, financially and everything else. Outside of that, the red card changed the game. It was 1-1 at that point, keeping it fairly close. Red card changes the game. And they go on to win the game quite comfortably, probably because Galatasaray had bigger issues. I find it very hard to find some highlights online of that game. UEFA fixture site, TNT, it would be great if we could get a little bit more of something going on there. What I have noticed though, there's a lot of red cards in these Sparta games. And I mean a lot. I don't know if they're testy affairs. I'd love to know from a Sparta fan, and then when I get to do the actual preview close to the time, I'll be able to tell you a bit more. But I did notice a lot of red cards next to either both teams' names or just Sparta's team. Is that down to desperation? Is that down to trying to level the game? Is it down to the nature of the way you play the football? Is it the intensity and all those kind of things? It seems as if you really do go at the opposition. It seems like you're a fairly aggressive side, which obviously is good for you. And here's your key striker here in a Slav. And then you've also got, there's a Serb in there as well, makes it a little bit tricky. And then obviously these are your 3 top goal scorers this season with 3 goals each in that competition. I'd say there's kind of like a weird... Can I put it this way? There's always someone off the front man who is, what's his name? Haraslin. And so he's definitely leading the line. But you tend to find that their midfielders like to take a couple of these shots. They kind of try and work it out wide and get what I wouldn't want to see almost against Kelleher. That wide shot, almost unchallenged in those areas. Not great for us. Their average guy in midfield is, I think you pronounce that Lachi, right? Or Lachi. And then Harassing is a really good player. And then this guy, he is kind of their Frimpong out there. He is that man left over on the wing out there. Again, kind of a trendy thing to do right now, but it seems to be working for a lot of people. Most assists obviously come from their midfield in Lachi. I really need to look up whether Lachi's Albanian or not. Where is he from, guys? I need to just stop this just for a second, just so I can work out where he's actually from. Lineups. Kazim Lachi. Where's he from? Albania. Knew it. I know an Albanian name when I see it. And then, big achievement. And then expected goals is obviously a little bit different for them, actually. So what's weird about that is that their expected goals in this competition aren't with their striker. They're actually with Jan Kukta, Bermancevic, I think that sounds about right, and then Lachi. Please, an Albanian, don't score against us. Don't do that. You're a good player, I know. Anyway, the point being, without that forward, which is Haraslin, they've still got goals in the team. And it just worries me a little bit when teams have goals in the team but it's not a striker. First of all, you got that Frimpong style sort of thing. Is someone going to try and get behind Andy Robertson or Joe Gomez? You know what Liverpool are like in the Europa League. We're already a little bit depleted. Well, they've come off the back of the Man City game. We'll be going into the Man City game and then coming off the back of it and then going into the Everton game. How are we going to be feeling about ourselves there? We don't know what the momentum is going to be like at that point, but I'm just interested to know what you guys think, right? It's a little overview of the team. They're clearly a very good side. They're clearly very trendy, on trend in terms of the way they play their football. And they're clearly highly motivated underdogs against Liverpool. Well worth a look. If you've not already hit subscribe, please hit it. If you aren't part of the Discord, there is a link down there. And also, if you're not part of the Patreon and you want to help support the content on the channel, either on my main channel or on this channel, then I'd love if you could do that. Appreciate you guys. As always, enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy the weekend of football. I'm going to be at the game, so come say hi if you do see me. Just come say hi if you do see me. See you guys at the game. Much love. Bye.